It's a beautiful journey. Terrific weather. Enormous enthusiasm everywhere. If you were here, it would be the best journey I had ever made. This is a quote from a letter a German soldier, Captain Heinrich von Helldorf, sent to his wife. One could think he talks about a summer vacation with his best buddies, but he was talking about his deployment during World War I, a conflict that would cost 20 million lives, including his own. This anticipation of war was commonplace in Germany at the beginning of World War I. War was seen as something noble, an adventure to prove oneself. The soldiers didn't know any better. Didn't know the leaps technology made since the last war. They had a romanticized imagination of it. They were victims of targeted propaganda and misinformation without anyone to inform them about the truth. Today, people can inform the young and dumb about how much of a horror war can be. If this education is done properly via movie, it is called an anti-war movie. Dr. Strangelove and Apocalypse Now are just some of the most famous examples. These movies don't glorify war, but instead try to show the ugly reality of it. Central themes often revolve around the ugliness of death, also its unpredictability and how random chance can affect lives on the battlefield, and the disillusionment of soldiers. This is in sharp contrast to war-glorifying movies, where camaraderie and heroic sacrifices are often central themes. So, what kind of movie is 1917? Let's start the answer with the main characters. Two young British soldiers who are deployed in France during World War I, who get picked for a time-critical task. They are ordered by their general to deliver a message that would save the lives of 1,600 of their comrades. The distance they have to walk is not far. Today you would make the trip in your car in less than an hour, but they have to go through no man's land and even enemy territory. They aren't too deeply characterized, but that makes them more relatable in some kind of way. Because they aren't special. Not high-ranking officers, no heroes, just two guys who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. We get to see their whole journey, seemingly in one continuous shot. Every cut is meticulously hidden, and in combination with the camera, that most of the time follows the protagonist, simulating a point-of-view perspective, gives you the constant feeling of being right there, in the trenches with them. The director, Sam Mendes, said, "From the very beginning, I felt this movie should be told in real time. Every step of the journey, breathing every breath with this man felt integral. And this vision became reality. This one continuous shot just makes the movie so immersive, but also so much more difficult to make, because you can't cut around mistakes. The scenes are much longer and need to be better choreographed. Because there are no visible cuts, you don't get the small breaks of tension every now and then, and it just ramps up constantly. Also, they often used explosive for special effects, which makes repeating a scene, which already is a big problem because they're so long, a much bigger problem. George McKay said, "It's like a piece of theater." And I agree. 1917 is nominated as Best Movie, and I 100% agree with that nomination, just because of the sheer effort that was put into it. While we talk about immersiveness, it was pointed out to me by someone who is not musically challenged like me, that the soundtrack had a constant tinnitus-esque peeping in the background, simulating the hearing damage that soldiers got in the trenches because of the constant shooting and artillery bombardment. So, this movie is filmed specifically to draw you into its visual narrative. But what does it show you? It shows you a world full of unpredictability, where one false move or one moment of inattentiveness can get you killed. Even worse, it shows you a world where you can get killed if you have done everything right. Like Dunkirk, it portrays war as this force of nature that many people just can't escape, no matter how hard they try. It's full of suffering and Pyrrhic victories. When you watch it, compare its ending to a movie like Edge of Tomorrow. You will see what I mean. Also, the set dressing is phenomenal. The scene where the characters venture into no man's land is full of gross, decomposing bodies. The camera just doesn't skip over it. No, it makes sure to capture everything about it. And yes, this is the world where Captain Helldorf wanted to take his wife on a nice vacation. To come back to my point about camaraderie being an important motif for war-glorifying movies. Camaraderie between soldiers is portrayed too in 1917, but unlike in many other movies, it doesn't seem desirable. Because you see at which price it comes, what horrors these men have to face together to obtain it. My father always says to me that the person who reads books will always be superior to the person who watches movies. Because reading books, you have to imagine everything yourself. I don't know whether he is right or wrong in general, but I think he is wrong when it comes to anti-war movies. Because if you can imagine war yourself, you can omit ugly details and romanticize it, just like Captain Helldorf. But movies don't let you do that. They force you to see war as they portray it, and 1917 makes sure you don't romanticize it even for a second. So, to answer the question that probably brought you here, yes, go see this movie. Because with the one shot, it's a piece of art. Because the actors play phenomenally. But, more importantly, because in a world full of tension and conflicts, like ours, we need to make sure that we don't end up like Captain Helldorf and forget the horrors that our ancestors faced in the last century. We need to make sure that every one of us understands that war is not something that is desirable, no matter what Hollywood sometimes shows us. 1917 is a very good anti-war movie, and I didn't see a lot of them coming out lately. So, by all means, go to the cinema and watch it.